Andrew. Along here is Mr. Leilani Barrett. I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
It's my absolute pleasure, Keith. Thanks for having me on.
Now, for people who want to know what Uncensored is, Uncensored's my way of showing people that even with a learning disability, I can still overcome controversy and reach my goals in life. At the same time, I'm able to turn myself into a perfect example for people out there deaf, blind, or in a wheelchair. But you should never label yourself or have people label you. You should prove to them you can still mount something no matter what. And it's just a half-hour, 45-minute conversation. You say anything you want. Call me an asshole for messing up your first name. And it's completely whatever you want to do.
No worries, man. You know, I've had this name for a long time now, and so I'm used to it being butchered or just completely, like, taken out of context. Usually, though, when people see my name, they expect some beautiful almond-eyed, long, raven-haired, you know, Polynesian beauty to show up, and then, poof, it's me.
No, well, on the subject, what does your name mean? Is it an American name, or?
It's Hawaiian. It means heavenly flower. It's usually a girl's name. I'm the only guy, as far as I know, that have it.
That's a nice name.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. I've kind of grown accustomed to it.
Now, starting off, like I said, you can ask me anything. It's a normal conversation. But starting off, what can you tell me about yourself?
Well, let's see. I'm an Aries. I love bacon, and I basically refer to bacon as the god meat. It is both sweet and salty, chewy and crunchy at the same time. It's the only meat that actually, so basically the only food that you can have for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and dessert. It's not only an entree, a side dish, it can also be a garnish, and it's just amazing. It's bacon. It's the best thing ever.
Well, now you're talking about bacon. American bacon, Canadian bacon, Italian bacon, what type of bacon?
Oh, I like some Italian bacon, you know, like a good prosciutto, you know what I mean? Forget about it, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I know you're in New York State, but boom, bada boom. I actually have baked a little prosciutto, put it on a type of a superfood salad. It's like kale, grape tomatoes, and throw in some prosciutto. Boom, it's all good. I am a fan of the nitrate and nitrite-free uncured smoked bacon that you get from Trader Joe's. I'm not getting any money from them or anything, but I'm just going to say that's basically where I get my bacon, and it's thebomb.com. I love it. I do. I'm right now I'm doing something where I'm being a vegetarian for 28 days. I purposely picked the shortest month because, well, let me tell you, I love bacon. So I was like, all right, well, if I'm going to go without bacon, I think I'm going to do it in the shortest month of the year. So I picked February, finishing up something called Eat Clean 90. All right, well, let me tell you about myself. I'm an actor, dancer, choreographer, host, narrator. I've been a teacher, and I also teach yoga. I teach hot yoga. I live in Cincinnati currently, but that's going to be changing very soon. And I do voiceovers for commercials. I love animation, and so I've worked really hard to try to get an animation. You know, as a kid, I watched a lot of cartoons in the 80s, and like a lot of cartoons from the 70s and the 80s. Also in the 60s, because I watched like Rocky and Bullwinkle and stuff like that, and of course all the Warner Brother cartoons. Love them. So big fan of animation. So unlike a lot of kids who would just like watch Saturday morning cartoons or watch the afternoon cartoons and then, you know, just kind of run off, I would sit and watch the credits because I wanted to know who were the names of the voices of these people. Even when I was a little kid, like when I was a real little kid, they had a thing called the Mr. Microphone, like a toy, right? And you get the Mr. Microphone, and they would say, hey, you know, and I'd be like, Mom, Dad, I want to be like the Renouncer Man. You know, because I would watch these commercials, and you see, like, Ricardo Montalban, and he would say, you know, you can have a gun with fine Corinthian leather. And I'd be like, oh, my God, I want to do that, you know? And so that's basically when I was in school, you know, we were actually joking about this with friends the other night about the Police Academy movies, and I used to watch Michael Winslow. And I was a big fan of, you know, Michael Winslow, you know, with all the bleeps, the sweeps, and the creeps, and Spaceballs, and everything, and I watched the stand-up. So I'm a big fan of that stuff, and big fan of sci-fi, comic books, all that kind of thing. And when I was watching it, I was like, oh, I want to do that. That's the kind of thing that really inspired me. And one day, I wandered into a high school theater, and they were doing a production of a show called Rainbows. I don't know if it was an original production or I don't know if there was just a show or whatever. It had a very 70s feel to it. But I hung out in the theater that finally, it's kind of like the old saying, you hang around the store long enough and they'll start to give you things. Well, they finally were like, well, we got to put this kid in the show. And then that was like my real first taste of actually being in a show, other than like, school plays and stuff like that, which, is just cute kid stuff. Then I started studying, there's a place here in Cleveland, I'm actually visiting family right now, there's a place in Cleveland that used to exist called the Front Row Theater. Let me tell you, this place was amazing. It was a theater in the round, okay, with a revolving stage that would turn and everything. It was incredible. And while I was there, I had a great, mime training and then, voice and everything that, working on text and theater, and I was just a little kid. Actually, there's a picture of me in a newspaper for that, which is kind of funny because I have like an afro. Straight up bald. And so yeah, I did that. That's how I started, and then continued on to the School of Performing Arts here in Cleveland, and I graduated from there. Went to Ohio State, the Ohio State University. Because all my OSU friends will probably rake me over the coals for not saying the or something. And then actually dropped out of school. I dropped out of college. I went and danced with a man named Bill T. Jones in New York City as I continued my dancing career and continued to do acting. When I came back to Ohio, taught, did a lot of stuff. I mean, sometimes I feel like I've lived more than just one life. And because I've continued to, and during the whole time, I've had regular jobs. Like, some people don't get regular jobs. I have had regular jobs. I've been a fry cook, and I've done, landscaping. I used to cut grass for extra money, that kind of thing. I'm like, I'll take out your trash, please. Could you just let me, have like a quarter? Hey, lady, you need help with your bags? All that. So, yeah. Yeah, and that's what I do now.
I was watching The Lord of the Rings earlier, and I didn't pick it up in the beginning, but now, after all the gay humor came out and all the jokes, there's a scene where Frodo's near Sam, and the guy in the second one says, "Who are you? And what are you? Are you his bodyguard?" And he says, "No, I'm your gardener. I'm his gardener." Yeah, it's like, oh, well, we all know what garden he's talking about.
I love those movies. I'm a big fan of Gimli. So the actor John Rhys Davies, who plays Gimli, right? I love him. Ever since, you ever seen Indiana Jones?
Parts of it.
Okay, dude, you got to go back and watch all of Indiana Jones because it's just awesome. Indiana Jones. Actually, the first one's Raiders of the Lost Ark. All the movie geeks will be like, "It's Raiders of the Lost Ark," Okay, so first one's Raiders of the Lost Ark. Second one, you can watch it, Temple of Doom, but the third one, the first and the third ones are the best ones, right? So, the third one is Search for the Holy Grail, Indiana Jones and the Holy Grail. But Sala, the guy who plays Sala, is John Rhys Davies. He's also Luke Gimli, and he always, my favorite part in Lord of the Rings when they're like, "You can have my bow, and you'll have my sword," and he goes, "And my axe." I just love that part. That's like my favorite part, because that's why whenever I band together with my friends and, we're all divvying up and I go, "And my axe," you just gotta throw that in there.
Did you ever see the Jeff Black parody where he wears the ring? He's hosting the Grammys. I forgot what year it was. I think it was 2001. And where's the ring? Yeah, I have the ring. Well, let's see it. Yeah, well, I got a little drunk last night, and you ever hear something called Prince Albert? Yeah. So he whips out his dick, and it has the ring in it, and Gimli says, like he said, "You can have my axe." And he's like, "Hey, buddy, put down that axe. We don't need that."
I don't remember that, but that is Jack Black awesomeness right there.
And there's a part where Aragorn says, "What awesome craftsmanship." It's like, yes, it is. It's called Prince Albert.
Oh my God.
I have to send you the link. It's really funny.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, send me that because or I'll probably, thanks to technology, I will Google that. I'll Google that shiz. I'm all over it.
And the next question I was going to ask you, you mentioned you're a host. What are you, like a host of your own show or a host of other shows?
Well, I've done hosting of different events. So there's like I did, and actually, this kind of funny that you would ask me this because I was going to ask you about this because I was really very excited when I saw that you interviewed Larry Poffo. Okay, because we got to talk about Randy Macho Man Savage and just how like awesome he is. But this is a few years ago. I was a host of the Gravity Games, which is kind of an extreme games kind of a thing. And they're doing like motorcycling and whatever. I've done that kind of thing on stage hosting. Did a thing. I worked for a company that was a professional video gaming company, so I did like play-by-play for them. I also used to host a TV show in Ohio called Cash Explosion Double Play, where I was on TV hosting. The show I was co-hosting with my friend Michelle, who is absolutely amazing talent, just an amazing talent, amazing person, beautiful woman, just one of the best people I've ever worked with in show business and in life. I mean, she's just one of the best people ever. And I've done that, with hosting different award shows and some stuff on TV, some stuff not, some stuff where my first hosting job was, let's see, I also did some stuff for PBS when I was in high school. So, I've been doing this for a while. I was in high school, and there was this show called Fast Forward with, and it was on the local television channel. They had me come on and with one of the local TV news anchors who's also a host, and so we did this show, and we're walking around doing all this stuff and everything, and I have it on VHS. That's how old this is. And I started doing that like years ago when I was a kid, and then I continue doing it, whatever. So I still do it now. And then I'm actually starting a show. I'm starting my own YouTube channel. You're very inspirational. I want to let you know. You got your website and other stuff. I was like, wow, he's like all together. He's got his website and everything. I love it. And it's the show. The channel is me. It's going to be Leilani Barrett TV. But one of the shows, I have 3 different things I'll be doing on there. One of the shows I'll be hosting is called From Fat to Fiction. And it's basically the journey of me going, from, I was going to call the show From Fat Man to Batman. But I thought, might run into some problems there, with DC or something. So, but it's not just about becoming Batman. Like, I have a secret desire, of course, to become Batman. But, that's another story for a little bit later or whatever. But, but the show is about health, wellness, and being an average, like, a regular guy. Because, a lot of people are like, oh, I want to lose weight, I want to do this, I want to be healthy, da-da-da-da. And most people, when they say they want to lose weight, there's the fad commercials. You can get rock-hard abs in just 12 weeks, and all you got to do is just use this belt. And you're like, really? I can do that? Yes, and it only costs you $29.95. And you're like, oh, great, I'll buy it. And 12 weeks later, you don't have rock-hard abs. And you see that in magazines and everything. So I was like, you know what? I'm a regular guy. I've watched all the documentaries that you can watch on Netflix, Hungry for Change and Food Inc. and Food Matters and what was the other one? The one where they're talking about all these, I've watched all these different documentaries. I mean, I could just go over a list of them or whatever, and I've also read all these different books like Diet for a New America and, Dr. Oz's books, and I've, read The 4-Hour Body and I've, Body for Life and, all this, Dr. Atkins. You read all this stuff, and the bottom line is there isn't just one answer. And healthy isn't, being healthy isn't like, it isn't, a magical pill. It isn't a magical drink, and it doesn't happen overnight. It's a lifestyle. It's something that you do for life, and that's why, you remember you're in high school, you see the guys run around on their total jocks, and then they grew up and they still were in good shape, and you're like, all right, that's why you look like that. And I was not. Even though I was a dancer and everything, I was more like the hippos in Fantasia. You know what I'm saying? I was like a big guy, and everybody's all like rail thin, and here I am, all right, I'm going to lumber it on, let me move somebody. So I came up with the concept for the show which I'm in production of right now, and we're going to hopefully get up and running before the Arnold Sports Festival, which is coming on March 6th, 7th, and 8th in Columbus. I'm hoping I get to interview Arnold because, well, all right, I love 80s action movies. Like, who doesn't? If you don't, something's wrong. That's all I have to say about that. And so, of course, I went to meet the Austrian fantastic. When you see him, you say, you're doing great. You're lifting your weights. You're doing your muscles. Get to the chopper. Damn it, now. Do it now. To hell with you. You know, so I want to...
You do it perfectly.
Thanks, dude. I'm people that I really, like, enjoy, that I really like. They say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Well, I've been doing impressions and impersonations of people. More impressions, not impersonations. Impersonator is a person who like puts on the whole wig, the outfit, everything, and then comes out to Vegas and has a show for 50 weeks. Whereas like, a person who does impersonations, impressions, I as a kid, I used to watch these things, I don't know if you know Rich Little.
Heard of him.
Heard of Rich Little? Yeah. Rich Little, Frank Gorshin. You ever watch the old 60s Batman?
Yeah.
Right? So the guy who played the Riddler was like an amazing impressionist. Like he would do all these incredible impressions and everything. So I used to watch all this stuff and everything, and I did all these voices because as a little kid, all the stuff that I did to get in trouble in elementary school, I now pays my bills. So I was like, oh, well, there you go. And also being very grateful back then, they were not trying to over-medicate me. Because, they would have said, oh, he's hyper. Yeah, kid, he's got an imagination that's going a little too wild, like The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. This kid, he's always dreaming all the time. Let's give him some drugs, and that'll just calm him down. And then I wouldn't be the person that I am now. So I'm thankful that I didn't grow up in that time. But yeah, so I love impressions. And so, Arnold movies, used to watch them. I mean, come on. I watched Hercules in New York, which is not a good movie, by the way. He's in this Western where he plays the role of handsome stranger. This is when he first starts coming out. Then, he gets Conan, Commando, and you get like these great, these are the best. This is the best Arnold time. Terminator, Predator. This is good Arnold movies. And so it's like you take the six of us and you cook up this story and toss us into a meat grinder. What happened to you, Dylan? Used to be someone I could trust. I love all those movies. True Lies. True Lies I'm conflicted with because of the content. And most of those guys are packing. Anyway, that's another story. So I'm doing impressions and stuff. Which I love it. So hosting the show, going back to that, the show's going to be it's going to be a 10-minute long segment, and it'll illustrate my journey from being fat to becoming Batman. And during the course of it, we'll talk about lots of healthy habits, a lot of things that you can do to slowly, incrementally, work and building your health.
Yes.
You're not going to get. I will not promise anyone you're going to have amazing pecs, six-pack abs, and not only that, you're going to make a lot of money. I mean, because that's like that's the other thing. And you're going to be awesome, and people are going to flock to you, and next thing you know, you'll be president, and you're like, all that just because I got your video? No. It's really a thing of passion. I just want to help people, and you're going to meet lots of crazy characters like the Guru. Who is, he's a person who wants to focus on the internal. He wants to tell you that you can be a better person without worrying about the six-pack abs and the big biceps. Forget about all of that stuff. And then, you'll meet there's a douchey character I have. He's all about the opposite, which is, totally, yo, bro, it's all about having a ripped stomach, you know what I'm saying? And taking selfies. That kind of thing.
That's why I don't go to the gym.
Yeah, and that guy, he lives at the gym, and he lives on Instagram. That's basically his life. And I also like some of the characters that I do, for example, like Christopher Walken, Denzel Washington, Jason Statham. I'm a big fan of Randy Macho Man Savage. So I got to tell you, I loved your interview with Larry Popo, because I was like, all right, after I watched that, I was already on board with you, but then after that I was like, oh, I'm sold. I'm sold. I'm so with him now. I'm Keith. I'm with you. That's awesome. I think that's great, dude. I really do.
What part of the interview did you like the most?
You know, I can tell. You know, they come from. I mean, they're what I love is that they're serious New Yorkers. Like you can just tell. He's like, hey, you know, he even gives you a little crap, and he goes, yeah, you from New York, right? You know, he goes, yeah, well, you live upstate. Yeah, that's not New York. You know, and I just started dying because you know that's how New Yorkers are, man. They're like, nah. Where do you live at? Nah, it's not New York. Long Island City. I don't even know what that is. But I love the interview because one of the things I like about it was that you could tell he had a severe and intense reverence for his father. And, you know, he loves him, you know, and he loved his father, and he was very proud of his brother. And I was very struck by that. I loved his candor. He was just a very frank guy. And, you know, he saw, you know, and he just had that New York kind of like, you know, hey, Italian, New York, boom, boom, you know, and I love that. It's that I just love that, and that you were able to, you know, really in the interview with him get this, you know, wonderful rapport with him. I could just tell it was pretty awesome. So I really enjoyed that, and without even solicitation, most of the time, I do this to my kids even, where you know they'll come down for breakfast and like, you know, I'll be like, oh yeah, let me tell you right now, you're gonna have yourself the most spectacular eats all the time. Because I love him, and I met him. I met Randy Savage when I was hosting the Gravity Games. Let me tell you, man. First of all, he's one of the biggest people I've ever met in my life. Ginormous. The man was huge. He was huge. In fact, I was going to send you a Facebook request so that we could be friends on Facebook. And then you see a picture of me with Randy Macho Man Savage, and I was just like, oh my God, okay. So I see him walking, and he's a mountain of a man dressed in all black leather. And I go, oh my God, it's Randy Savage. So the inner 12-year-old in me just runs after him, like, Macho! Macho! Oh my God, Macho! And I'm like so excited, okay? And then I tap him on the shoulder. I'm like, well, I was more like this, Macho! You know, and I tap him on the shoulder and I say, I'm one of your biggest fans. I've always loved you, you know, for years, decades, whatever. You know, you're just the best, whatever. And he goes, hey, thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate that. And then I'm like, oh my God, he really looks like that. Okay, so, because I thought it was a
put on,
you know, just the thing, yeah. But no, that's how he really talked. So I said to him, and as a matter of principle, whenever I meet celebrities, and I've been able to, you know, through my work, you know, meet, you know, different celebrities and whatever, I don't do impressions of them to them, because I find it to be rude, honestly. Right. You know, but with him, I was like, listen, because I, you know, totally love him, and I'm like, I do an impression of you. Do you mind if I do it for you? That's the other thing I ask. You know, I wouldn't just be like, you know, a total jerk off. Hey, I'm going to do this impression of you. I hope you like it. No, it was just like, hey, I really, you know, so I like, it was really like this, like, and he was like, hey, yeah, go ahead. So then I lay it out, right, and I'm like, oh, yeah, let me tell you. And I go for it, and I give him my full macho, and he goes, hey, you even got the pinky. And I was like, oh, you know, pay attention to detail. And so, yeah. That was a highlight of my life. And then you know, this was before digital cameras, cell phones, bro. This is 2003. So, like, I had one of those like Kodak Instafilm cameras,
right?
Which, you know, you used to go get developed and had to get like a photo CD and everything. But I was like, hey, do you mind if we take a picture? We only got one picture, which if it was cell phone age, we would have gotten like 3 or 4 pictures. But we only got one picture. But he was the kindest, like most giving performer. Like and as a wrestler, dude, he was at the top of his game in terms of showmanship. Like, you've watched Cream of the Crop, right?
Heard of it.
Oh, YouTube Cream of the Crop. He not only, you know, is doing his whole thing with Mean Gene Okerlund, he is doing a sleight of hand trick with these creamers, and he's doing his whole play on the cream of the... Dude, watch this, and you will see, like, Hulk Hogan, yeah, let me tell you, brother, okay, all you need to do is take your vitamins, say your prayers, train real hard and always believe in yourself. I was made in America. Like, yeah, I get that, okay? Sorry. Randy Macho Man Savage. And I watched wrestling during that time of, like, Ric Flair and Jesse the Body Ventura and Iron Sheik and the Nikolai Volkov, the Russian, all the bad guys.
Right.
All the bad guys are still the same, too, which I think is funny. Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I watched, like, Coco Beware, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, and I loved wrestling then because the characters that they created were clear good guys and bad guys. There was no ambiguity. Like, once like you start getting into WCW, you start getting into the the Rock generation and Triple H and some of those other X-Pac and those guys. They're all kind of anti-heroes, and they're all not. There's no like. John Cena was probably like the most like patriotic American type character, but you know what I mean. Like the Undertaker. Well, he do the thing with the eyes and everything. I love that. And Paul Bear. Oh yes. Like all of that stuff. Loved it. So dude. I kudos to you, and I applaud you for like talking to these guys, and I'm glad they gave you an interview.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I sometimes do that just to fuck with people, the Paul Bear impression.
Yeah. Lay it on me, brother. Come on.
Well, I don't want to hesitate.
I don't mean to put you on the spot. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but come on.
I can do a little bit. I can do like, oh, yes, it's snowing outside. I wanted to go over to the snowplow guy, like, oh, Mr. Snowplow, can you plow my driveway? Oh, yes.
Do it. I mess with people all the time because I always joke to say that the little voices in my head sometimes escape and then they'll come out. So occasionally I'm in the grocery store and I'll be like, yeah, love, can I get a little bit of that? Yeah, that'd be great. No, that's all right. No. And they go, well, where are you from? I'm like, Ohio. Just to play with folks. It's fun, It's a good time.
You remember Jason Sensation?
Who?
Jason Sensation.
No.
He imitates Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Randy Savage, the Warrior, Owen Hart.
Yeah, Owen Hart. Oh my God, and the Hart Foundation. No, I gotta look this guy up. I love that stuff.
The other guy I used to imitate was Ric Flair. But going back to Randy Savage, I remember, ooh, you're funky like a monkey, too sweet to be sour, Tower of Power.
Yes, Ric Flair too. He had that showbiz swagger, man. Like it's the funny thing is people do, they've kind of, for a long time, not so much now because the WWE is such a big, entertainment organization, but people used to just, clown on those guys, and it took me going back and looking at it and really looking at it objectively, not as a kid. And not as a person who fell out of love with wrestling, but just going back and looking at the performers and going, wow, some of these guys did an amazing job of creating a character, giving it a full life arc, and and a backstory and depth, and and everything. Where some of the guys were, they were just, they were just jobbers. They were jabronis that were just, being told what to do, and this is going to be your character this week. There was a guy, Reza Ramon.
I miss Gaho.
Yeah, and he had these different he was 3 different characters in his wrestling career. But when you see him as Razor Ramon and then you see him as somebody else, you're like, wait a minute, that's the same guy? I mean, that kind of thing, and he was doing this whole, there's like a Scarface kind of thing, He was like, I am Reza Ramon, and he had the little tube, and he flicked. I love that stuff. I do. I shamelessly love it. I love wrestling like I love musicals, like Disney musicals and stuff like that. I love that kind of stuff. It's great.
One of the Ric Flair's thing I was telling you is Randy Pablo put me on the spot, when we did our demo interview. He was nice enough to help me do the actual interview, but when we did the demo, it's like, okay, I'm going to put you on the spot, imitate Ric Flair. and I have to be in the mood, but I can do it for you because I'm a good person, and just like you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, remember in WCW, it's like, Main, woo, Gene, Dead Eye, woo, say, like, stuff like that, and he throws jacket on the floor. And,
oh, I love it. I used to love that, man. I'm telling you. I mean, I'm working with now a young lady who does hair and makeup for the opera. And I contacted her because I want to really start to, for sort of sketches, I want to have more, so getting those kind of wigs, that feathered hair, that bleach blonde feathered hair. It's one thing about being bald. Although I'm not actually bald, I just shave it. Because it's easier. I don't have to go to the barber. You know what I mean? I just wake up in the morning and go like this. Yeah, look good? Okay.
Well, if you're okay with it, I would love to be part of your stuff if you have an opening.
Sure. I mean, it's going to be location-based. This is where I'm at. I'm literally, as a producer, I'm one man with a camera, a microphone, and an editing suite. I'm doing all the writing, and I am collaborating with different people. One of the things that I am trying to do, though, is be able to, like, travel when I get to travel and go places, and then say, hey, would you like to be on the show? Because we'll talk about, like, different things. And it's funny because I really like the idea behind what you're doing. This, no labels, and the idea of labels as limitations, and, and then the prejudice that comes along with those kind of labels and whatnot. I really dig that you're just like, hey, we're bunking all of that and going straight to the core of the person. And I dig that. And one of the reasons I dig that, because also, too, like, I work in yoga, and whenever you as a yoga instructor, you're surrounded by, lots of people who are there for different reasons. A lot of people are doing a different thing, yoga for different reasons. Some people are like, oh, I want to get into shape. Some people are having a spiritual journey. Some people are, literally just, discovering what their bodies can do. And in the yoga community, it's strange. Whenever you look up yoga, Google yoga sometime. And look at the images that pop up. They're all these, like, skinny chicks with, like, blonde hair, and they're super firm. And the guys, oh, don't get me started. Most of the guys are all tatted up with, like, Om symbols all over their bodies and Buddhas and stuff like that, or they get long hair. They look like Russell Brand and Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Like, you know what I mean? That is their total, like, that's your yoga guy, and your yoga girl is, this, thin little petite thing. When in reality, there's so many people doing yoga, and also it's in America, it's very lily white, and this was a discipline that was here's a stereotype. One, they think it's mostly women, because you don't know how many guys I talk to and they're like, yoga, psh, bro, sorry man, you don't understand, man, that's what my girlfriend does. I don't do yoga, right? And you're like, you do realize yoga was started by men, and primarily was for men, and then women weren't even, encouraged to do it for a long time, and it was brought over here by men, and now it's known as, like, the thing that women do, which is so bizarre. Secondly, you don't see diverse body types. You don't see people of color. You don't see diverse body types, and that's a major thing for me, in that, one, I'm not a small guy, and two, I guess you could say I'm a person of color, and being, so I have both invested in that. When I'm in the studio, I look at people's bodies, and there's all different types of bodies. Everyone has, different ranges of motion, abilities, and everything. But if you come in with that prejudice, that label of this is what yoga is supposed to be, then you've already limited yourself before you even walked in the door.
Perfect example. It's like you use me for a perfect example. Oh, you have your handicap. And I was on the air, I have to show you in my interview, when people don't refer to having a learning disability as being able to do a talk show or create videos. Well, the reason I'm so good with iMovie is because I've been doing it day in, day out since I was 14, 15. Can't do much of anything else, but I can do that. And I just have a passion for it. And It's good. I have to show you the videos, but if you want to interview me, I'm always looking to get myself out there. And you don't have to pay me for anything. I'm always helping. I'm a good person, so you help me, I help you.
Yeah, that was one of the things that in your meet, it was like kind of like a meet me video, and you were saying that you reached out to people, and there were all these people that said no to you because they wanted money, or there had to be some kind of a thing, and I thought, wow, that's limiting, not to you, to them, that they wouldn't take the time to speak to you, and considering what your mission is and what you're trying to do with your vision. I dig it, man. I think that's awesome. And it's funny because when you said it to me on the phone, and I gotta be completely just candid with you, you said, "Oh yeah, learning disability." I was like, "Okay." I didn't put two and two together that there was, that was even a factor. But I guess that's how my brain works. Like I hadn't even thought. I was like, "What? Oh, okay. I guess if you say so." There was my thought process. So yeah, dude, I wouldn't even, I wouldn't even let that. Phase you, because clearly you're doing it, and you got 150 something, interviews with all these different people, and I love it.
Well, like I said, if you all work together, I would appreciate it.
Yeah,
but,
man.
There's another thing. I was talking to this Asian person, and not an Asian agent, and just wanted to clarify that. And I don't know, I'm trying to work with her, but she keeps pushing me to the side. He's like, "Oh, well, you want Mickey James on your talk show." Okay. Do you want to have, let's see, Mickey James, Don Murray, just former current wrestlers, but mostly formers because they're not doing anything, so. And she asks, "What is your," and I hate this fucking question, I really do, and it's uncensored, you can curse if you want to. If that offends you, I apologize. But I hate this fucking question. They say, "What is your fan base? What is your demographic? Do you cater to the whites, blacks, Spanish? Is it 16 and up, 16 and down?" And now most recently, it's, "How many fans do you have? How many followers do you have?" And it's like, that shit doesn't matter to me. You're missing the point. I'm not doing this to make money. I'm doing this to prove a point. Yeah, well, they would only do it if you have 1,000, 2,000. I'm like, yeah, okay, then there's the door. You don't want to help me. Just say, and I got this. I think what you're doing is terrific, but it's really not for me. Or I love what you're doing, but I really want nothing to do with it. Okay, it's a dick move, and at least you're honest. Don't say, "Oh, it depends on how many followers you have," or, "Oh, well, if you pay me $200-300, no, I pay you $30, half hour, 30 minutes. I'm not giving you $500 for 30 minutes. I don't have ATM or retard stamped across my forehead, and it's kind of like, I know I have a learning disability, but I'm not stupid. I know when I'm being taken advantage of."
Yeah, no, and you know what? I think that shows a real strength of character in you, my man. Seriously.
What about now? Let's turn that question around to you. What is your fan base, demographic, following? And when someone said following me, I say I'm not a freaking cult leader.
Right? It's strange because social media is a new. It's a new animal to me in the sense, not that I wasn't like aware of it. I was on MySpace and Facebook, and I just got on Instagram and everything. I'm developing the idea of followers. It's a challenge. It's a challenge because it's a different mindset. The new media, the social media. YouTube, whatever, it's a different mindset than, say, for example, like, as a performer, before the influence of social media, it's not really something that you really thought about. you didn't think about, how many, well, I mean, some people did, like, oh, who are my fans? I must be up my fans. It's not something that I really thought about, and now it's integral into the business plan of being a performing artist. So now I give it a lot more thought. I'm building my fan base. Like I said, I haven't launched my YouTube channel yet. I don't know. I have a few hundred followers on Instagram. I've got like 1,600 people on my Facebook page. Whether or not I'm in their news feed, though, that's one of those things you don't know.
Right.
And so, and unless you're like talking to, I try to do the math. And if I talk to 100 people a day, okay, in 3 years, I still wouldn't get through half the people in my face. And that is talking to 100 people a day, individually, just reaching out to them. Hey, how you doing? How's life going? Tell you what's going on. Let me send you a message and anything. So, I enjoy this kind of thing. I enjoy this kind of one-on-one interaction, and if I can get that, it's priceless. It's worth more than gold to me to have that kind of one-on-one, face-to-face kind of a thing. And we live in Star Trek now. We live in the future. We're talking to each other, Scotty, what the hell's going on? Like, we're right here, you and I, having, straight up Star Trek conversation. So I love it. But yeah, it is a challenge that I'm looking forward to taking on, because it's I know that with certain business models, that's a thing. You want to have a following, and so I hope that people will subscribe to my channel and will enjoy the shows. And money is hello.
Hi, Cassie.
What's your cat's name?
His name is Cassidy.
Cassidy. I know. It's like all of a sudden I'm like, oh, hello. Hello, kitten. Good to meet you. It's one of those things that in setting up for these different social media things, it's an important thing, and I get that. But would I let that restrict me from pursuing my vision? No. Whether or not, because I've said this before, as a teacher and both as a performer, you get the same show, whether it's one person in the audience or a million. I will give you the same show. I will give you 200% of my energy. I will give you all of my attention and bring everything to the table to bear for what it is that I'm doing. Whether it's a character I'm playing or whether I'm hosting a show or whatever. I want to give all of that, whether it's one person or a million or 100, one person or 1,000 or 100,000 or a million, doesn't matter, because that's the most important thing. So, whether or not you have 5 followers or 5 billion, it's really about what you're delivering and how you feel about it. So, hey, like Larry would say, yeah, forget those guys, you know what I mean? Forget about them, I love it. I always say, forget about it, you know what I'm saying? I love that, so.
No, you're right. Even with my show, I would like to make each episode different. Like, for example, you can pick up your camera and you can show us your place, because I like it to be interactive. Season 1, I asked people, like, where do you stand on technology, smoking pot, gun control, legalizing marijuana, but it gets boring after a while. I did 100 of those. It's like, okay, now let's try changing it up. So now let's have for season 2, it would be more of an in-depth conversation like what we're doing. And it's kind of like, just basically have a normal conversation. And maybe in season 3, when after I reach my goal, I might go back to asking hard-hitting questions. But I like to shake things up and be different.
Sure. Yeah. I think that it would be really cool. You continue to go on and do this. You continue to create more content and interview more people, and the people that you get, just talking to them and everything. And dude, shoot for the stars, man. You know what I'm saying? Shoot for anybody you want to talk. Interview the president. Why not? Go for senators and congressmen. Go for all those people. And just it's the crazy thing with those folks is it has to be like laser point.
Right.
Because I I even think about that if, I have the opportunity to interview certain people, you literally walk in, 3 bullet points, please expound on this, please expound on that, please expound on this, thank you for your time. Because, a lot of those people are moving and grooving, and, some of them don't, some of them, I'm not going to say all of them, you might get somebody, who's willing to sit down and talk for, a little bit longer and actually just have like a straight up conversation. But, a lot of them, they're like, yeah, I got to do this thing, I got to go to this meeting, I got my publicist in my one ear, I got my agent in the other ear, I got my manager in the other ear, I got to, and then I'm trying to balance a family or strippers, whatever they're doing, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, hey, everybody's, path to success is a little bit different. And whatever success means is also a little bit different. I actually did an interview with some kids in a school, and it was part of a program in Texas, like a virtual learn kind of a thing. And so they a friend of mine was like, hey, would you be interested in doing this interview? And I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, who am I? I'm just some schlemiel actor guy who wants to, oh boy, let me tell you. That's it. But I was like, all right, sure. And during the interview, though, the teacher asked me, he said, well, do you feel like you're successful? And success is not measured in money.